Today we're going to make white bread. I've been asked a few times of the recipe for my white bread and exactly how I do it and so forth and so on, and I promised somebody that I would get it up online and then she can have a go at it. So this is how it goes. First thing I'm going to do is put in 4 cups of warm water and 3½ tablespoons of yeast and 1/3 cup of sugar. Mix it up a little bit. Now I'm going to put this to the side and let it rest until it gets foamy, and then I'll come back. This yeast is really working hard. You can see how it's all foamy in there. That's exactly what I want. So now I'm going to start adding in the rest of my stuff. So I'm going to put in 1 cup of vegetable oil, just regular vegetable oil. That's all I use. I don't use anything fancy because I always have a lot of this on hand, so I use this. 3½ teaspoons of salt. And a half. Then I'm going to put in ½ cup of melted butter. This is what I do because I don't measure out ½ cup of solid butter and then melt it. I melt butter first. And then I'm going to do 3 eggs, large eggs, and I just whip them up a little bit. Now, I've never in my life measured out flour in my baked goods, in my breads and things. I don't know how much flour this is going to take because I bake with texture and feel. So I'm going to put the recipe down under the show more box, but this time I'm going to keep track of exactly how much flour I use so I can actually put it there, because I've never actually done that before or paid attention. It's just always been by hand. So this is 8 cups, so let's see how far this 8 cups is going to go. So this is going to need a lot more flour, but I just want to incorporate as much as I can in the bowl before I flip it out on the counter. It's pretty thick now, so now it's time to dump it on the counter. What I like to do, which I should tell you before I even start this part, is I already went through my 8 cups of flour. So this is another 8 cups of flour. So we'll see how much this takes. But usually what I do is dump flour on my surface. And I know through the kneading I'm going to use this. I know that. And then, if you could see this, I dump it right on the counter. What I like to do is just start folding in the flour. This is how I normally always do it. Now, one of the steps that you don't want to miss when you're baking bread is kneading it. You can't chimp out on the kneading part. It's going to take a good 7 to 10 minutes to knead this. And I always go with the 10. I have a timer, I set it, and I don't stop kneading until my 10 minutes is up. I think it's a really, really important step. And now I can start. We're 5 minutes into the kneading. I haven't added any more flour to this other than what was on the counter. It's starting to be really smooth, and it takes a lot of kneading to get it to this point. So when it starts coming off the counter and it's starting to get really, really smooth, you know you're on your way to a really nice bread. It'll start sticking to your hands a little bit. And all you have to do is don't load the flour onto your bread, just dust your hands. That's it. And you'll be on the go again. You don't want to, it gets to this point, you don't want to keep adding and adding and adding and adding flour. It'll be really hard and really dry. So just use the bare minimum that you need at this point. 10 minutes is up. Okay, back to work. So I'm going to try to make this into a little ball as much as I can. It feels great to me. I think this is going to be a good batch. They're all a good batch. So I have a very big bowl, huge bowl, that I would use because it rises a lot. So I'm going to put some extra virgin olive oil in there, and I'm just going to smear it all over the bowl. And then I'm going to take my bread, put it in my big bowl, and give it a turn. Oh, I'm making a mess. I'm so loud. Now it's covered with oil. That's a beautiful sight to see. So I'm going to put a cloth over it. I'm going to put it on the back of my stove. The house is warm today. I don't have any windows open, so I'm going to put it at the back of the stove, and it's going to rise to double about an hour. I always leave it an hour. Alright, it's been 1 hour, and let's take a look at the dough. I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can see that. If not, I apologize. I think that's good. Okay, here comes the unveiling. Voila. Isn't that beautiful? That's gorgeous. It's almost too pretty to touch, but you know we gotta deflate this. And I never usually beat up my bread. I don't know why. I'm all about the love. I don't normally beat my bread up. So I'm just gonna deflate that. Now that's a nice rise. And pull it away. That's why I use this big bowl, because it will rise that much. And the dough is actually really warm. Oh, it feels fantastic. And all I'm going to do is just knead it for a couple of seconds. That's all it needs. And then I'm going to start taking, and I always use these for that. I'm going to start taking a couple of pieces off at a time for whatever it is I'm going to make. You can make anything out of this recipe. Rolls, buns, hamburger buns, hot dog buns, any kind of shaped loaf that you have. Oh, it's just a bunch of things you can do. Breadsticks, that's always a good one. So I'm just going to knead this a little bit, just get the air out. That's it. In the beginning, it takes a bit to get it to stretch out and stay in that form. And when you're rolling it, roll it right off the edges. First, I'm going to make a loaf of bread. I'm not always that concerned about how pretty it is. If it was gifting and I was doing it for gifts and things like that, entertaining, yeah, I would definitely be more, careful of how I made it look. But when you bake bread all the time, just for your family and things like that, you don't worry too much about the imperfections. If you stress about it, you'll never get a loaf of bread done. So I'm going to get my bread pan. I use butter and flour. You can use cooking spray and just cooking spray alone, but I always butter and flour my pans. So what I'm going to do is lightly roll this up and then firmly make sure that it's going to stick. And there's my loaf. I don't even know if you can see that. So now you have to play with it. I usually take the ends and almost like a sock, you want to pinch that sock in and tuck it under. That's all you're doing. Pinch and tuck. And then the other side, same thing. You don't want this left out. So it's like a sock. You want to push that in and fold this over. So you're just going to tuck it in and pull it down. And then I'm going to turn it over, and you're going to have this big seam here. I try to just pinch it together the best I can. That's all I do. This bread is very forgiving. And there's my loaf, my tiny little loaf This is going to expand quite a bit. I made it a little bit too big here, but that's okay. It's a forgiving bread. I'm going to leave it in there like that with a tea towel over it, and I'm going to let this rest for 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to show you how to make some rolls. Very simple to do. Cake pan, that's all I use. Now make sure that you kind of squeeze these down on the bottom. Sometimes I take my time and I just pull up and pinch and make this beautiful little round bottom. If I have the time. You get this really nice, soft, round bun. That's only if I have the time. Normally, I just take it and tuck it under. Take the outer edges and fold it under. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of space between them. When they rise, they're all going to connect. So I'm not worried about that. And you don't have to worry too much about if you make a mistake with these. Just flatten it out and do it again. That's all you gotta do. And they don't have to be perfect. Who says everything has to be perfect? As long as it's made with love and good intentions and, feeding your family and your loved ones, that's all that's needed. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's perfect enough. Egg wash is 1 egg and then as much milk as you need to get it really, really runny. And that's all that is. I usually do it at about 315. It really depends on how hot your oven is. I'm not going to put a baking sheet underneath these. They don't need it. And I'm going to start checking this bread at about 40 minutes. When you tap it and it sounds hollow, you'll be good to go. Alright, all done. This is what I got from the batch. All of this for $7.02. That's what it cost for me to make this homemade bread. When I go to the store, I would not be able to get 3 loaves of bread for $7. And that would be on sale, and I still wouldn't be able to get that. So to me, this is worth it. It's worth it any day of the week. They're beautiful, and these ones just came out of the oven, and I'm not sure if you can hear this. That's what they're supposed to sound like. When they sound like that, you're good to go. So this is going to feed a lot of people. So I'll cut this one open so you can see. These freeze fantastic too. I freeze these all the time. Oh, do you hear that? That is amazing. Wow. Look how nice that is. Super soft in the middle. Crusty on the outside. And soft. And the house smells so good. So that's what you can do with a batch of bread dough. You can save money, you can eat well, and you can feed your family well. And to me, making your own bread is so worth it. So give this a try. Till next time. Hey, dough.